No Jews allowed? Now, right in this title, I've got to point out the intelligence of Jews. The intelligence of Jews. The proper and healthy moral focus of Jews. So if you've come here and thinking to yourself that you like to focus with hate on anybody who is born and everybody who is born Jewish, well, that's not what we do here. Because we, like these particular Jews, have a focus on ourselves. We have a moral positioning of ourselves. So if we saw an incident that we were going to write about, we would say, what is the impact or the effect on us? So what you're looking at, if you feel like some sort of rage over them focusing on themselves, then you are the defective one. Because healthy peoples in a world of collectives focus on their collective to achieve individual well-being. That's what we have to do. Complaining that other people don't do it the exact same selfish, individualistic way that white people do hasn't changed anything. It has, though, disarmed us, and we now live in it with Pastor Sprinkles or Pastor Sparkles. Probably does some sprinkling too. Who knows how many things he probably has. But now we're at the state of Pastor Sparkles, and that's because of our weakness. That's because you have not submitted yourself to an individual well-being by way of group well-being approach, which is what we do here. So, no Jews allowed, writes the author. White supremacists are building a segregated community in Arkansas, but is it legal? Now, of course, this concept, white supremacist, is a meme pathogen. This concept, white supremacist, is used by any anti-white person for any white person who is in any degree heretical to anti-whiteism. Any white person who pushes back at all against anti-whiteism becomes a synonym, of one of the many synonyms for heretic, for evil, for ne'er-do-well, and one of those is white supremacist. That's all you need to know about that. So in other words, if we were to translate, it would be white heretics to anti-whiteism are building a community in Arkansas. And then poses the question and answering it for the casual reader by posing it in the title that it's not legal, but indeed it is legal. But what does legal mean today? All the laws, as we talked about earlier, are interpreted by human beings, and the programming in the human beings is the social morality. And the social morality of the West is the anti-white immoral imperative, which has defeated every other code of ethics and morality there is, as evidenced by everything in reality in your lived experience. So no need to continue to question these things. Just submit to what works. So Aarvoll has the return to the land, and we've had him on here. We talked about that. And as you know, anything that is actually white positive, anything that is helping white people, not in an abstract, not in a sometime down the road, not in a once we do this thing that's a wish and can never actually be done, certainly in our lifetimes, then white people at some point. No. People who are white positive are, one, they're focused on us, not on other groups, and two, they are in that focus endeavoring to improve the lives of actual white people today. When that's happening, I support those efforts. And so I support this. Aarvoll wants to provide safe environments where white people have our norms, our sensibilities, our mores reflected back at them from their neighbors, from the behavior of their neighbors, from the way that we get together, the way that we worship, the different ways that we worship, the different ways that we recreate, on and on. So all of that is spiritual nourishment immediately. And then beyond that, physical well-being. Don't want to see their children subjected to other children, whether white or non-white, who are carrying the disease of anti-whiteism in their mouths, in their lips, to be saying that anti-whiteism to your children, to have something more to have to contend with and combat when the children come in with more of that self-hate. We watch videos on this in this community and on our gatherings of white children lamenting, bawling, hating themselves for being white. Consequence of anti-whiteism, the injury, the physical, mental, and spiritual injury of Western kind. So he's been at this endeavor. Aarvoll has. Eric is his real name. Eric has been at this for a couple of years now, a few years now. And I guess he's got a partner or so. And they've got a little community started on 160 acres, I think it is. And everything is just chugging along slowly but productively until some radical anti-whites. Now, these particular anti-whites call themselves Jews. But I don't care what legs they passed between when they got to this planet. All that I care about is whether or not they're going to be anti-white. Why? Because I am centered in my story. I and my people are centered in my story. Everyone out in society is measured by whether or not they are good for my people and therefore good for me, harmful for my people and therefore harmful to me, or somewhere in a gray area, neither this nor that. That's how the world gets measured, by healthy human beings. You're going to have people out there that will say, well, Jason, how are you going to address a problem if you don't endlessly complain about it? These people are demonstrating the deep consternation, midwittery, subgenius mentality of addressing a problem with a solution that is inappropriate. They think that they can take the same approach that they do for a hornet's nest on the porch or a dead car battery or whatever it might be, and then apply it to something as dynamical as society. It's practically morbidly stupid, but it is a basic error that we see all the time. The only answer to this, if you don't talk about it, you can't solve it. The only answer is complaining about Jews doesn't create a people out of the white race. And we need a people if we're going to recapture our destiny. End of conversation. You want to have a debate about whether or not the white race is a people and not just a deracinated race? I win that one. You want to have a debate about whether or not you have a people to appeal to with any of these arguments? I win that one very easily, very demonstrable. You want to have a debate about complaining about Jews and how that's going to accomplish something positive for us? I win that debate all day. Generations of now we have Pastor Sparkles. I win that debate all day. So the only answer when they say, how are you going to fix a problem if you don't talk about it, if you don't endlessly complain about it, is complaining about Jews doesn't create a people out of the deracinated white race. We need a people if we're going to recapture our destiny. So you, I'm not even going to say sir or madam, you, boy or girl, shut up, sit down. You've had generations. You are a fucking loser. That approach is a loser approach. Stop talking. Stop thinking that you're going to educate me. You're an imbecile. Time to shut the fuck up. So, having said that, we need a people. And if we don't have a people, it's going to be difficult to defend communities that we build. We're going to be in this pauper scenario, this hand-to-mouth scenario, like we have here, against what? Organized peoples. And in this case, You have anti-white Jews that discovered that Aarvoll is as the lead on this RTTL project. And what's up with this, right? What do we learn about these particular Jews? And in particular about these Jews at the ADL? Well, these people claim, and the people on that Reddit, I think is where it started, what they claim is that they're just Jews and they're just taking care of Jews. Is that really what they're doing? Is that really what the ADL is doing? Is the ADL looking out in the world and saying, where is there a suffering Jew? Because if you turn on Fox News at pretty much any time, there is some commercial running fleecing white Christians in the United States for Jews in Ukraine. I mean, and there was same commercials for Jews in Georgia, the country. And this is going on all the time. Where is the ADL? Where is this anti-defamation league that has been organized and has hundreds of millions of dollars, and its stated purpose is to protect Jews, to help Jews, to prevent the slander of Jews? Where is it doing that? It's not in Ukraine, paying for the Jews to be fed over there. No, these white Christians are being fleeced over here. Absolutely, these commercials are absolutely sickening. With these billionaire Jews on planet Earth, everywhere you turn, every one of these Jews in Georgia and in Ukraine and anywhere else that couldn't get a meal, their numbers are so few. One of the Jew billionaires could put them all up in penthouses. But no, they're going begging to the white Christians in the United States who are just paying centimillions through the nose for these poor people to eat, to have, they don't even have electricity. They always make it look as horrible as it could possibly be. And wouldn't that be something? If there was an entity out there begging for money for just white poor people, I wonder what the anti-white defamation league bastards would do about that. I wonder if we ran a commercial on Fox News, suddenly found a bunch of money and snuck it by their anti-white censors and said, hey, look at all these destitute, impoverished white people. And we show up in their little filthy hovels as they do in these commercials. And we say, look at these white people that need food. Send money now. Buy a food packet for $500. Build these people up, make them big and fat. Wonder what the ADL would do. Wonder what these anti-white Jew bastards on that Reddit or wherever it started, I wonder what they would do if we had a commercial like that. My guess is they would lose their minds, because what's most important about the ADL and the Jews on that Reddit? What's the most important thing to them? I already told you what it's supposed to be for us. We don't care what legs they shot out between when they came to this world. Not even in the least. Not even in the least. What's the most important thing to the ADL is being anti-white as all hell. That's what's most important to the ADL. Because the ADL looks out across the world, and there are Jews here and Jews there they could be helping. And what do they spend so much time on? Any white people who are heretical to anti-whiteism. Where are they? Because we will fucking hunt them down. We will sue them into oblivion. If there are any white people out there who aren't anti-white enough, we will hunt them down. We will bring disrepute upon them. We will malign them. We will calumniate them. We will encourage the local and county and state governments and even the federal government to get involved, to shut them down. White people are not allowed to be heretical to anti-whiteism. So the problem for us is that they're anti-white. The most important thing to them is anti-whiteism. It's not their Jewishness. It's not helping Jews. For the love of God, they would never give this 2 seconds of thought. So the problem is that they're anti-white, and that really embodies the ADL. There is nothing about this shit garbage organization that is helpful to Jews. It is anti-white. That's what it is from start to finish. That's all it does every day. That's its existence. Nearly 60 years. And then we have these anti-white authors. And just follow in this article with me and watch how they develop the totality of this article. And don't forget that they've got to focus on themselves, which is far healthier than you are. Look right there. They've got to focus on themselves. So unless you have a focus on the white race, these Jews are better than you. Just know that. Stop talking about how they're evil. Stop talking about how they're this and that. Stop talking about, if you're not focused on the white race, these Jews are better than you. Nearly 60 years after the United States outlawed racial and religious discrimination in housing, one group in Arkansas is openly reviving it. So immediately, you have double dealing here. You have duplicity here. They're couching the conversation in a completely different subject matter, where indeed you can't discriminate in housing. The housing they're talking about. But they know that's not what's taking place with Aarvoll and his community. They know precisely. Do you want to know one of the reasons why they know? Because Jews have these brotherhoods. American Indians have these exact same types of brotherhoods. Blacks have these types of legal entities. Hispanics, these types of legal entities that allow them to discriminate. So they know for sure that it's legal. Now, is that the end of the conversation? Well, of course not. Because it is illegal and has been illegal for a very long time to discriminate against the white race on the basis of our birth. And yet, it is ubiquitous. So, they know very well that they could bring a case. They know very well that it's not just about being sympathetic judge or sympathetic jury, but just the programming in the population of the social morality to get outcomes that are anti-white. Return to the land, they put in quotes, as though it's some sort of like mysterious, scary thing. A white supremacist group, so in other words, a heretical to anti-whiteism group, co-founded by Eric Aarvoll and Peter, I'm guessing it's Chair, in 2023, owns 160 acres in northeast Arkansas, according to the group's website. Jews and non-whites. Hey, Jews, you are non-white. If you're not us, you're non-white. I don't care what shade your skin is. I don't care if you say that you're Ashkenazim and you came from Eastern Europe or whatever it is. Don't care. If you are not of us, then you are not us. You are non-white. We are white. We are Westmen. We are Western kind. You are non-white. And you know that you happily make that argument whenever it suits. Jews and non-whites are explicitly banned. So, of course, taking the negative part of this rather than the positive, that Westmen are welcome. But that, you see, is a far healthier focus than you get from so many in the so-called pro-white circles, and who are not pro-white at all. So for any of the Jews who are listening, knowing that we're going to be covering Aarvoll and what's going on with the return to the land, and maybe never heard of us before, the pro-white, you probably know this, the pro-white movement is really just an anti-you movement. They don't care about white people. That's why they hate me. They hate me. They hate this community because we are actually concerned with the well-being of white people. They just hate you. They just use this pro-white as their grift. So stop associating them with white people who care about the well-being of white people. Two completely different groups. And you'll know, because here we're talking about the well-being of white people. There, they're talking about how awful Jews and blacks are. So put it together. Prospective residents must verify their ancestral heritage in a written application and interview before becoming paying members and residing in the off-grid settlement, according to the group's Substack. The organization hopes to replicate its whites-only resettlement across the country with the stated aim of trying to put land back under the control of Europeans. Close quote. Experts warn the group's practices likely run afoul of anti-discrimination laws. Really, the experts accept that? Do they say the same thing about where Jews are doing this exact same thing in New York, in the boroughs? You want to try to tell me it ain't happening? About its, so they likely run afoul of anti-discrimination laws and express doubt about its long-term viability. Still, the group's financial and legal infrastructure makes it one of the most established heretical residential communities in the United States today, according to Morgan Moon, an investigative researcher with the Anti-Defamation League's Center for Extremists. So, in other words, with the Center for Anti-Whiteism. That's their real name. The Center for Anti-Whiteism. That's who Morgan works for. Return to the Land is part of a long tradition of heretical groups that have sought to create isolated living communities, according to Moon. Should I get up and moon the camera? I'm like this close. In the 1970s and oh God, I don't even want to read further, because this is not, what's coming up is not going to be good. In the 70s and 80s, and this, I might as well read, white supremacists urge, and they're not, like-minded racists. Do people put that like on their Tinder profile? I need a like-minded racist. To move to the Pacific Northwest with the goal of transforming the area into a white ethno-state. In recent years, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. In recent years, similar attempts at forming remote enclaves have cropped up in Kentucky, North Dakota, and Maine. I thought they were going to go into some detail about these groups that are not pro-white, just like I just talked about here. You can get into their chats. You can go to one of their cookouts, and they don't talk about pro-white anything. They don't talk about making white lives better. Zero. It's all about hating non-white people. Such communities always fail to gain traction. What a surprise, Moon said, often due to financial troubles, obviously, infighting all the time with these people. When you come together as selfish individualists, and this is another thing that makes us so very different. When you come together as selfish individualists whose focus is on other groups of people, and maybe guy A hates blacks more and guy B hates Jews more, it's very easy for them to get into a fight over what needs to come first, even though one works at the as a janitor, has no power other than to collect the trash, and the other one cleans up after a guy working at a lathe. Neither of them have any power, but they can go their separate ways over who's got to go first. I mean, fuck these children right out of any healthy sphere for the well-being of white people. Get rid of them. But when you come together, as we do in this community, with a white positive focus on our people, we can then have productive conversations about how do we improve the lives of our white people here? How do we improve the lives of white people there? What can we do for white little boys? What can we do for white little girls? Everybody's heart is in the right place. Let's see, infighting or simply the difficulty of asking people to move to remote areas, uprooting their lives. This isn't the first time Arkansas has been the site of such a project. And maybe it is going to go a bad direction. In 2012, Jason, definitely not this Jason, Barnwell, a member, oh my fucking God. This idiot had an organization he was a member of called the Aryan Terror Brigade. Never associate. Anybody who talks like this doesn't care about white people. Trust me. I grew up being naive, thinking that people that talked like that cared about whites. I showed up and they never cared about white people at all. Never talked about white people. Never anything productive. The Aryan Terror Brigade? Could you imagine taking that to your family? Could you imagine trying to take that to normal white people? Hey, would you like to become a member of the... No. In fact, I'm calling the cops on you. I don't care that it's not illegal. It's just that maybe stupidity that is that deep and profound should be illegal. They hope to persuade white supremacists to read. So just anti-non-whites. Really, in these, when you are translating an article like this and they're actually talking about members of the Aryan Terror Brigade, just call them anti-non-whites because that's what they are. Just anti-non-whites. So the article wants to say white supremacists, they're anti-non-whites. So persuade anti-non-whites to relocate to the small town of Evening Shade in Arkansas, where he had purchased 12 acres, according to an ADL report. Now watch, this guy's going to be online slandering the ever-living shit out of me everywhere. Oh, do you know he's a Fed? Do you know he likes to eat watermelon? I'll bet he's got some black heritage. So according to the ADL report, I'm sure that's completely truthful and accurate. But the project fell apart. What a surprise. What? Barnwell and several others pleaded guilty to federal charges of firebombing an interracial couple's home. Well, at least he's not going to be able to slander me in prison, where he should be after firebombing somebody's house. For the love of God, do not associate with these people. They don't care about whites. They don't. They want to hurt other people. That's all they do. And they'll hurt you if you get into their midst. Return to the land is actually a path to power. The acreage owned by Return to the Land is near Ravenden, a town of fewer than 500 people in northeast Arkansas. That's more than 97% white. Small, lowercase w. Uppercase J on Jew, though. Wonder if they put black anywhere with a lowercase b. My guess is no. So this is typical ADL garbage. Like, can you believe this town is 97% white? So what is the ADL? You want to complain about the ADL because they're Jews? That's not what they do. They don't do Jews, do they? Does the ADL do Jews? Where do you see them coming to rescue Jews? They don't do Jews. They do anti-whiteism. So that's what you hate them for. They're anti-whiteism. That's what they do. The bare bones setup consists of tiny homes and tents. No, thank you. Moon established about a dozen people live on the property where residents grow their own food. See, that's cool. Homeschool their children. Awesome. Helping out white people. Ignorant of the author here. They use outhouses. Well, do you not shit? And rely on well water for drinking. So does most of the world. Though the Arkansas community may be small and remote, its founders are transparent about their ambitions to gain influence and expand beyond the region. Whoa, terrifying. According to Moon, the group's leaders are part of the identitarian movement, a far-right ideology that believes the white European identity is under threat from immigration and globalization. Now, I don't know anything about identitarian, what these people are referring to right here. But I will tell you this, that did you just hear what I just read? They believes that white European identity is under threat. Now, we obviously in this community go further. We're talking about we are being victimized. We're not under threat. There's not something about to happen. But the point here that I want to make is look at how this author shared what these beliefs are. So the Aryan Terror Club beliefs are shared correctly. Now, what set of beliefs do you want reaching our brothers and sisters? Because they're going to write it. So don't give me this, they're going to say anything they want. Sure, but you know what I find? That far more of the lying about this group or that group or this content creator, especially concerning me, is done by you all. Is done by you all out in the white sympathetic sphere that have just absolute hard-on of jealousy for me and this community and hatred because we are the actual pro-white people. We are the actual folks who care about whites, and you LARP as folks that care about whites. And we are therefore a continual affront to you. We are a continual disproof, or rather a proof of your scam, of your anti-non-white scam. So their response is to create a parallel society of whites. I don't know that that's exact. Maybe it's a little bit of wording. Aarvoll, Return to the Lands Project, is a YouTuber with about 14,000 subs who sells philosophy courses on Plato, Pythagoras, Aristotle, my favorite, on his YouTube channel. He recounts being mocked by Mexicans for being blonde. Now, that is ignorant. I tell you, I know exactly what the author is doing there. While growing up and then putting minority in quotes in Southern California. Aren't white people the minority? But let's just numerically. But let me just point out what the author is doing here is saying to the reader, this is the reason why this Eric Aarvoll guy is so dead set on being a white supremacist. Because one time, some Mexicans made fun of him for being blonde. So this is the attack on Eric's actual arguments and positions, just dismissing all of his positions. Aarvoll has described the remote Arkansas development as only a starting point, with grand vision of return to land chapters, San Francisco, New York. According to the website, the group's also actively exploring another land purchase in Arkansas. We're not running away, Aarvoll said. This is actually a path to power. And, of course, Eric can correct me on his surname. And so he can correct me on Peter's, which I'm going to guess is Chur and not Sir. Peter Chur, returned to the land self-identified secretary, worked on several years on a farm in Florida before moving to Ecuador, where he joined a fruit haven eco-village, an off-grid raw vegan community. Chair left after the group accused him of racking up $40,000 in debt, stealing $25,000 in cryptocurrency, and facing criminal charges in Ecuador for stabbing a local miner. I don't know. I haven't looked into any of that. I'm reading that now with you. So they could be claiming anything they want. In a fundraiser for his legal defense, Chair denied the charges, writing that he acted in self-defense. So he did stab somebody, but it was self-defense. I guess it's only okay when you are Anthony Carmillo for it to be self-defense. Now living in Arkansas, Chair says he helps with organization and administration, development, budget, construction, IT, and much more for intentional living communities through his consulting group, Global Homestead Solutions. He also maintains a YouTube channel where he promotes Return to the Land in a video responding to accusations that Return to the Land is filled with secret Nazis. He implied he rejects only the former word. So I don't believe that either. But I'm not watching it. I haven't watched it. What does secret mean? Well, it means like you're hiding something he said. So if he is saying that they are Nazis, as we understand, and I find that unlikely. If he's saying, though, that he is a Nazi, as we understand in the anti-white narrative, they want to kill non-white people, they want to genocide them, they obviously totally reject that. I've got many books I've written, many tens of thousands of hours speaking, streaming, at gatherings, in person, online, everything. Obviously, completely been my position all along. Totally reject that. Abominable. My guess is that it has more to do with maybe a investment and appreciation of governments that are socialistic and nationalistic. That would be my guess, but I don't know for sure. And I do not endorse any type of government, and neither should you. You cannot make it happen. It's not going to happen. And you are only setting up a situation where you will be divided, sectarianized from people that you otherwise could imbue with the lexical and dialectical power of the Go Free dialogic. Don't do it. Don't wish list on governments. When we recapture our destiny, which begins with the recapture of our destiny in our lives, the recapture of our destiny in our families, our communities, our schools, our etc. As we recapture our destiny in this way, there will be in our youth geniuses who have the full might of their intellectual, spiritual genius freed from the trammels of anti-whiteism. And they will figure out how to do governance without any issues. They will figure out how it's going to run, and we will leave it to them. We do not concern yourselves with government should be just like this, because you're just going to end up severing yourself from somebody that matters, because we need to bring them into white well-being. Now, if you have I don't know how to say it, maybe like a lighthearted interest in this particular, you think maybe this, but you're not going to say that you're going to force your view of some government on or some economy on someone else. They're going to do their thing. You're going to maybe have your favorite baseball team kind of a thing. That's one thing. But what we're talking about, we were just talking about last Sunday, these people dividing over things that don't matter whatsoever, that they can't effectuate. White heretical enclaves typically consist of one individual buying land and encouraging others to move there, Moon said. But Return to the Land has a more complex legal and financial structure. she said. And the group, quote, seems very organized at a high level, at a higher level than I've seen in other communities, close quote. And of course, we had Eric here, very bright guy, courageous guy, not a loon, not Aryan Terror League idiots, but a guy who cares about our brothers and sisters, a normal white person. We need more and more normal white people. Get rid of those dysfunctional, bring in the normal people. Prospective members of Return to the Land pay a $50 fee to go through the group's vetting process, according to Moon. Once approved, members must pay an additional $25 membership fee. They also become eligible to buy membership units of the limited liability company that holds ownership of the land, just as Eric explained to us when we had him on. Those interested must buy a minimum of 3 acres for about $6,000. Moon estimated Return to the Land has made about $300,000 on land sales since September 23. The group also hosts crowdfunding campaigns to build out their community center and on-site school, which Moon estimated have raised about $20,000. Even though this is a lot of money for a white heretical group, it's not a ton when you're thinking about creating an entire independent society, Moon said. That's not what he's saying. And that's not, you're going to create a place for us. Now, yourself back off to the boroughs or wherever you live. The group has also fundraised for legal research and says they have connected with a highly experienced real estate attorney in a promotional video for the development. Aarvoll acknowledged a potential legal trouble, stating that the Fair Housing Act of '68, which prohibits housing discrimination based on race and religion, quote, made it difficult for white neighborhoods to return to their identity and character. But those neighborhoods are not under this legal entity. So Aarvoll and chairs say they structured the organization as a private membership association, limiting land sale to pre-approved members only, which in their view makes it legal to restrict membership to white, Christian, or pagan people of European heritage. But according to Stacy Saxonator, a law professor at Tulane University who specializes in fair housing and anti-discrimination law, this may not be the legal loophole that Return to the Land expects. The Fair Housing Act does carve out an exception that allows private clubs which provide lodging, quote, as an incident to its primary purpose, to give preference to its members. Well, obviously, then that's going to depend upon that definition. But it appears the Return to the Land is explicitly building residential communities as part of its primary purpose, Saxonator said. It would be difficult for any private association to avoid compliance with the fair housing law if it is engaging in real estate development, Saxonator said. And Return to the Land's discrimination is explicit. The group does not accept applicants who practice Islam or what it calls Talmudic Judaism, explaining in a Substack post that both are religions wholly created and mostly promulgated by non-European ethnic groups. We do not accept any applicants who follow these religions, even if they are ethnically European. The Arkansas Fair Housing Commission, the regulatory agency charged with enforcing fair housing laws in the state, did not respond to a request for comment. Well, I guess we're going to find out whether or not, my guess, at least right now, my guess and my hope is that there'll be no lawsuits. My guess and my hope is that there isn't going to be a concerted effort to take this down. It's too innocent and anodyne to take it down, especially at the moment. Now, does that mean that there isn't an argument or a path to crippling in the future? No. But right now, it's a couple dozen folks and houses and tents and really, really would not serve as it could serve in the future an anti-white objective. That's our buddy Eric, and what's happening with the anti-whites there, proving yet again the people at the ADL are anti-white. The great Aarvoll, Eric, from the Return to the Land movement and these vicious anti-white Jews, especially the anti-white Jews at the ADL, that does nothing for Jews, but just hunts across the land for white people who are heretical to anti-whiteism and endeavoring to destroy them. We have that very gentleman right now, bringing him on for a swash, the good brother. It is wonderful to see you. Big salutes to you, under fire. How are you doing? What is going on, man?
A lot, apparently. Hey, good to be with you, Jason. I caught a little bit of your stream earlier, and it's pronounced Siri. It's Peter Siri, and he's a very buttoned down, non-violent person. It absolutely was a self-defense incident, and it was an illegal minor trespassing on his community's land. He had warned them to get off of there multiple times. One time he went down to tell him to leave, and they attacked him. So, of course, he defended himself. As far as the other allegation, I want to clear Peter's name because it's just not fair. Like, they were really kind, actually, to me in particular. They call me intelligent. They use flattering pictures. And then Peter, they treat like this brazen criminal, and he's absolutely not. He's very sober, very professional, and reliable. But they owed him money. He founded the community. He did a lot of work that never was compensated. There were disputes over who owed whom what. And I'm going to trust Peter over a bunch of hippies living in South America. That is how Peter was, 10 years ago. He was only eating fruit. He wanted to have a community around that for whatever reason, anarcho-capitalist. And in the last 4 years or so, he had a change of heart, like many of us. He got red-pilled. And yeah, so that's Peter's story.
Thank you for clearing that up, because, they really made him sound like he was just like this villain roaming the lands. And it's typical, of course, of the ADL.
Right. No, the ADL to come after us. I mean, I'm shocked. I didn't know they did things like this. So surprising, out of character, really. No, of course we were expecting this from the beginning. And I always thought that this is the ideal rhetorical battle for us to be in. Instead of saying we need to control the country, we need this and that, we want our own neighborhoods and to be left alone. And even on that battlefield, they're willing to come out and attack us and harass us and libel us. And average people do see it. So I think it's the battle that has to happen. I mean, ideally, we could just build these communities and not worry about it.
Yeah.
But clearly it's not just about, discrimination against the underprivileged. Like, we're not wealthy. I mean, you can see we're building from scratch and making do with what we can. And they're clearly punching down. They're multi-million-dollar organizations attacking us. And we're just a few white families in like a poor rural area in Arkansas. So it takes the mask off. And I think we just have to keep pushing here.
I think so too. And it's so reminiscent and so predictable. We see the attacks on Orania mounting right now in South Africa. The claims that they've got jobs there, but Leroy or whatever, the South African equivalent, he doesn't have a job. They're able to not have to lock up their houses. But Leroy, I've literally read an article, brother, where they did this. They compared the white people going off on our own, like we build Western civilization. We go off, we build something healthy, we build something productive, we build something safe, we build a nursery room. And then the anti-whites come in with these arguments to white guilt us, to disarm us. And they say, look, there is a non-white person somewhere that doesn't have the health better than white people, that doesn't have more money than all white people, and so therefore you need to. So I see the exact same thing. This is so symptomatic of anti-whiteism. They're going after us in Orania, down on the Orange River. Now they're heading into northern Arkansas and coming after the work that we're doing there. I wonder if you might, and I love, it's so true. they want to bring publicity to this. They want to attack a little, beautiful little white community coming together. Yeah, let that be let that be what our brothers and sisters. I know the anti-whites will be happy with that, but let our normal brothers and sisters out there hear about that, because they're thinking, I want to live in a nice white place. That's why they keep white flighting. So let them watch that. Let them see that happening. But I wonder if you might tell us, how did this get started? Like you guys are rolling along, and all of a sudden, what was it? Was it a Reddit? What was it?
Yeah, it was one Redditor in particular about, I don't know, 6 months ago. I think it was the same guy under a different account did a similar thing, spamming these threads in different local subreddits. I think he did the Jewish subreddit back then as well. But just trying to call attention to what we were doing, how it's probably illegal and you should contact the government about it. And he got zero traction last time. No one cared. And I mean, even he decided, after looking into it, what we're doing is probably legal. There's probably nothing we can do. And after half a year, he comes back, and now he's started 15 different subreddits. It really blew up on and was posted first, as far as I know, on r/Jewish. And he's calling for them to contact local government, the Fair Housing Commission in Arkansas. And they absolutely have, because I've seen statements from local government, and generally they're saying, well, we'll look into the matter, which this is a very conservative area. Many people feel the way we do. And so that's what a government office would have to tell them. Oh, we'll look into it. I imagine the most likely outcome is really that nothing happens, nothing comes of it. I think because anyone with a bit of sense will see that this is not the hill to die on for the establishment. And people don't trust the government as it is. They make it crystal clear you can't even have a white neighborhood. It's not about markets. It's not about lack of jobs or lack of housing. There wasn't housing when we came here. We're developing raw land from scratch, 150 acres. It's nothing. There's plenty of land everywhere out here that's completely uninhabited. So the notion just on its face is preposterous that we're depriving anyone else of opportunities. We're just doing our own thing. So I don't think, if they're wise, they won't push it. If they do push it, however, from what I've looked into, if the Fair Housing Commission finds us for some violation of discrimination law, the first offense is $15,000. So, okay, worst case scenario, we lose, we have to pay 15 grand. That sucks. But on the other hand, we get the fine in the mail, and now we have a court date. And now we're connected with lawyers on our side who are very experienced, very qualified, and we can mount a serious defense. And if we win, set serious precedent. So, I've seen the objections they've had to why what we're doing is not legal. We've discussed it. The board of managers at RTTL has discussed it months and months ago, before they ever caught wind of it. And we believe we have a very solid defense. The primary purpose here is not real estate development. It's ethno-cultural community. We have online aspects. We have this community here. We're looking to open recreational properties. And also, RTTL doesn't own the land. It doesn't manage the land. RTTL is a association for facilitating white communities. That's it. We have our company here that holds the land. If anything, they could try to sue the company that holds the land, but that's very difficult, I think, because there aren't that many people involved. There's no clear-cut evidence of discrimination. Someone would have to have joined the PMA and then come down and visited with us and passed our screening process, applied to actually buy in, and then we would have to turn them down ostensibly for some kind of racial motive. And that's never happened. That's probably not going to happen. So unless the Fair Housing Commission goes out of its way just to attack us with no plaintiff involved, no one's been victimized, nothing's going to happen.
Well, that's what I'm hoping. That's what I hope, and I also think right along the same lines that you are thinking there. With this is not the hill they want to go in and wage war against a bunch of ordinary white folk moved out. Practically, it sounds like it's the middle of nowhere, and they've got a little thing going. with some houses and some tents and a rec center and everything, the vast majority of white people are going to say, just leave them alone. Why would you go to try to destroy this? You know, especially since there's already precedent where all these other non-white communities are doing the same thing.
Yeah, there was the black community in Georgia. Everyone celebrated that. They said, great, they'll have a safe space for themselves. And there's also, you know, equal treatment under the law. If you've set the precedent that the black community is okay, well, then we have to be okay. Because what's the difference? You know?
Exactly. Yes. Well, and I think it's also interesting to point out, because it's occurring to me as we're chatting, that the ADL is in this endeavor is functioning just like the South African government. Both entities are anti-white. Both entities are targeting white communities that are building, have built, and are proving that we are the West. We are the people who make Western civilization. We are the people who make these safe spaces in the West. And that's a glaring obstacle for them as they turn the rest of what was once our countries into these multiracial, anti-white hellholes where white people are constantly fleeing left and right. I'm so much more positive on what you are doing because, as I was saying earlier, your focus is on us. Your focus is on our people, making an environment where we, our individuals, not white people in the abstract, can be safe, can be happy, can homeschool, can inoculate us against anti-whiteism. Rather than like in that article, that god-awful article, they're talking about these other people who endeavored to start so-called pro-white communities. They weren't pro-white at all. I mean, there's a fundamental difference between everything that I hear you say and what these other people say. I wonder if you have any thoughts about that.
Well, that's the way I came to white identitarian beliefs. I became pro-white because I realized that the books that I'm reading are all white men. The music that I like, it's all white people creating that music. I enjoy European culture. I enjoy my European heritage and identity. I even just like the way white people look and act, and I can get along with them a little more easily. It's like, I like these people. And for me, I grew up in Southern California. I didn't have a lot of white friends. There weren't a lot of white people around. So I really didn't understand. I understood that I was being attacked for who I was. That I was conscious of. But I didn't understand what it was like in the positive sense to have a community of people you could easily identify with. When I got to college for classical music, then all of a sudden I was around a lot of educated, you know, intelligent white people, and it was great, you know? So, I mean, that's been my outlook coming into this. And I think the people who actually want to show up and be productive, they don't want to complain about minorities. They want to build. And there's plenty to do. So why bother complaining?
Yes. I love the productivity. I love it. It's just such a positive view. And the people that go through that, they're happier people. They're healthier people. Mentally, they are healthier people. That's exactly what we need to be doing. That's how we need to be focused. I'm much more positive. Over the years, there have been a lot of these. They mentioned a couple of them in that article. Of course, you have the big effort with a lot of money that was behind it in West Virginia. And of course, because of their focus, it went to naught. And also there've been several efforts in the Northwest. Yeah, what you all are doing has the right focus. That's why I believe it has the possibility of succeeding where others were kind of just like fancies. But where does it go from here? What's happening? What do you expect? If you expect anything from the anti-whites, the ADL, and then let us know also where folks can go to help you out and help out the RTTL community.
Sure. Well, you can join the PMA. You can join anonymously. It's a $25 application fee, and then you're a lifelong member. We are thinking about instituting a higher tier of membership that is paid so that we can build resources to do more. But yeah, that's at returntotheland.org. I started an initiative to fund a tour around the country so that I can go personally and help organize land buys, not for full-time residents, intentional communities, because that's really, really complicated. And there are a lot of ways where you can go wrong. right? Other people have tried things like this, and they've, like the guy in North Dakota who tried this, I forget his name, but he got busted on health department violations. So you have to be organized, and you have to have really good management to make a residential community work. I mean, residential development, that's something that huge corporations with, legal teams and contractors and all of these experts do. So to do that takes a certain level of expertise, and we're barely just developing that to handle our own needs. However, going and facilitating the purchase of recreational land where you can go with your family on the weekend and meet up with other pro-whites, that's relatively easy. And the legal precedent there is super strong. So there are country clubs that have proven that they can be discriminatory on whatever grounds. That's a First Amendment, very fundamental kind of issue. So I want to go around the country and get this going. Right now, I put out a poll. If I am able to do this and organize these land buys, would you personally be willing to invest in land with other pro-whites near you? And it was like 90% plus saying they would. More than 1,000 respondents now saying they want to do this. We have more than 1,000 people right now who are saying, yes, we want territory. We want lands together. We want our own communities. And maybe it's not the full-time residence community like we are here immediately, but I think that's probably a healthier way to go. Have a place to meet up, get to know one another, and then from there, who knows what develops. It's also just something to do with our time that's productive. You can go buy land and then spend time developing it, spend time volunteering with your friends. And I think that'll build a whole different kind of culture on our side.
I really like that. And just step at a time, man. The victories, getting like you're talking about there, getting some recreational land, going and working on it with other people who are white positively oriented. They want to build, they want to have these places where we can meet, exactly as you said. Really excited about that. And I'm hoping to God that the ADL doesn't decide to try to bring down some kind of suits or whatever, just so we don't have to deal with that kind of thing. But I'm with you. If they do that, they're going to bring a lot of attention to white people, our brothers and sisters out there. They're going to wonder, why are you attacking them just for being out there by them? Let me go check out this RTTL guy and what they actually believe and what they're actually saying over there, rather than just take it word for word from an organization that's already deeply discredited itself as anti-white. I mean, even in the Jewish community, there are Jews that don't like the ADL. So certainly these anti-white POSs are really showing their ass here with this focus on what you want. And maybe they end up backtracking because they realize how bad they look here. But we've gotten
messages from Jews who say, hey, we support what you're doing. We don't believe in the anti-white stuff the ADL's doing. And so Jews are on our side, blacks are on our side, Hispanics are on our side. Some might not be also. It's not all of them. And not all whites are on our side. Right. But there's a broad enough base of support that it does come through. Like on the comments, a Daily Mail published a piece and then had to immediately take it down because all the comments were in our favor. So I think it's a really bad idea for them to push it.
That is so awesome. Tell folks where they can find you one more time, and I will make sure I put your YouTube and X in the description once we're done here today. But where can folks find you? And is there anything else that you want to share before we let you go on this epic swash through?
Yeah, that's the big news right now. I mean, I'll be hopefully coming to a town near you to facilitate these land buys. So be on the lookout. Returntotheland.org to sign up. My X is Aarvoll _ and my YouTube, just search Aarvoll, you'll find it. Yeah, we have a couple, fundraisers for this, the legal fundraiser, and then the fundraiser to fund this tour to get the lands on our, under our control again, taking back the land.
So awesome, man. I love it. I got these visions of white kids running. It's like with our great Dean Brant Danger and School of the West .world. I have visions of that being like a physical entity at some point with beautiful statues of our people. And so I've got some visions now of this happening. If you ever get up around Northern Virginia, anywhere up PA, West Virginia, Maryland, I will definitely come see you then, and we'll hang out. But thanks so much for coming on today for this swash through and giving us a heads up on this anti-white attack on the good white positive work that you all are doing, man.
Absolutely. Hey, respect to you, Jason. Nice being with you, and I will see you soon, I'm sure.
All right, man. Bye-bye.
Take care.